weren't we just talking about connecting all of this to the Steam Deck to create some sort of semi-desktop environment to be able to copy videos faster and load games faster? I'm pretty sure we were. Well, that's the nature of technology for you. Today we're going to take a look at the 6-in-1 hard drive multifunction adapter from JSAUX. Now, they're not claiming it's the ultimate Steam Deck dock, say that 3 times fast, but I know what I can see on the box. I'm Ron Burke, editor-in-chief for GamingTrend.com. Let's unbox this thing and see if it can live up to those lofty claims. Right out of the gate, we have this statement right here. It says, "Hi, welcome to a new way to experience gaming on Steam Deck. We hope our docking station brings you a lot of exciting moments. Happy gaming." Alright, 2 mystery screws and some sort of adhesive device. And the dock itself, there's really not a lot to this box. And the instructions, which I sincerely doubt that we're going to need. So we'll close this up and get this out of the bag. Right out of the gate, this feels cold, which is great to feel. This feels like it might be aluminum. It's metal of some kind. I'm going to guess it's probably a machined aluminum. And it has small rubberized feet on the bottom already. So when you put this in place, it seems very unlikely that it's going to go anywhere. Similarly, there are small rubberized feet inside right here with some small grippy indentations on the bottom and smooth on the front, so that should cradle the Steam Deck in place, and then this long piece right here should give it a place to rest. It's not like a Nintendo Switch, so it's not going to dock into anything, but that's where this USB-C connector is going to come in, which is thankfully at a 90-degree angle, right to go on top of the device, which we'll do in just a moment. Let's take a walk around the device. So we have the cable I just mentioned for connecting to the Steam Deck, and then the next port here is for charging it. That is a 100-watt fast charge USB-C port. Now, 100-watt fast charge means that you can charge the Steam Deck at maximum speed while still playing it. So you can run Cyberpunk 2077 or Shadow of War or whatever else and still be charging the device at full speed. This means that when you're ready to go, you know that you can disconnect the device, walk away, and that your battery is going to be fully charged. The next port is a bit of future-proofing. So this is an HDMI port. It's a full-size HDMI, and it runs 4K 60. Now, whatever form the next Steam Deck takes, inevitably it's going to push more pixels than the current one. So this dock should be future-proof because it's going to be able to handle 4K 60, which is likely where we'll head next. These next 2 ports are USB 3.1 Type A. Now, the standard for Type A suggests that these are 10 gig, but these are marked as 5, which suggests to me that they've split the interface and that you can run both of these at 5 gig simultaneously, which is great. 5 gig is more than enough to carry whatever data you need to the device, whether it's copying files or whatever, and that should be more than sufficient. And they've given you 2 so you can plug in a mouse and keyboard, or you can plug in another hub or whatever else you need and still have plenty of power to spare. Headed on to the next side, we have a RJ45 Gigabit Ethernet port. That's good. Ethernet still seems to be the gold standard for most people at home. Your router at home may do 2.5 gigs internal or whatever, but it's very unlikely that your internet goes that fast, so you've got other bottlenecks before we need to worry about this one. Gigabit, more than sufficient. Just above that, we have an SD card. This SD card is the same format as the one that's found on the Steam Deck. So this is going to be your micro SD card, whatever flavor that happens to be. There's a lot of different speeds that you can choose, but this port should handle all of them. So far this matches a lot of the other USB 6-in-1 or 7-in-1 adapters that we've seen, but there is a key differentiator here. Very gently, I'm going to open the top of this case. And underneath, you will find support for an NVMe drive. So this is a little weird, but it's got a little rubber grommet that it uses to hold the M.2 drive instead of a screw. I'm not sure if I'm in love with that, but it should be okay as long as you're not moving this around much. But in this case, it's populated with a Lexar NM610 Pro, which is a nice high-speed Gen 4 M.2 drive. But as you can see, there's a support for a number of different card lengths. So if you have some other SSDs that you might want to use that aren't necessarily these full length, you can certainly do that. And installation is a cinch. Simply slide it in place, drop that little rubber grommet over the top, and this just slides back on top with a little bit of pressure, just like that, and we are ready to go. So the only thing that's left is to connect it all up and see how it works. You may have noticed that inside the device we didn't see any sort of thermal pad. Well, inside the box, it's exactly what this is. So you have the thermal pad and then 2 additional little rubber grommets. So if you happen to lose the one that's in here, you can easily replace them ×2. All right, let's wire it up. So first we'll connect the mouse and the keyboard. I don't have Ethernet wiring up in the studio, so you'll have to forgive me for skipping that particular port. We'll connect power. This is that 100 watt quick charge. And finally, the HDMI cable. All right, everything is connected. The last thing to do, move the Steam Deck over. Oh, that does stick in there very nice. And connect the right-angled USB-C to the top. I immediately get a charging light, which is great. We'll turn this on, and if I'm right, it should start up here and then immediately jump to there. Just like that. So the last thing to check is the key differentiator, and that is that M.2 drive that resides inside this dock. The best way to format that M.2 drive is with desktop mode. Now, don't be alarmed that this is Linux, and don't be afraid, this is actually much simpler than you think. So to get here, all you have to do is hit the Steam button on your Steam Deck. It'll bring up a menu, go down to exit to desktop mode, and it will bring up this mode. This mode here, you'll use your mouse and keyboard, and come down here to this application launcher, what is effectively the start menu. You'll click that, and in the search box, you're going to type in KDE, as in Kilo Delta Echo, and you'll bring up Kde Partition Manager. It will look like this when you're done opening and it's done scanning. Now it takes a little bit of time, so I went ahead and did it ahead of time. What you should see are 3 devices. The top device is your SD card, more than likely. I have a SanDisk 1 terabyte SD card, so that is this MMCBLK0. I didn't give it a fancy name. The next one is the Kingston device. That Kingston device is more than likely the internal storage to your Steam Deck. So that's probably going to be half a terabyte, or it might be the 256 gig version. Whatever version you bought, that should be that device. Now, confusingly, because why not, the last device that actually looks like an SD card is probably your external device. That's that M.2 drive. Don't be confused by this. So what you'll see over here is it's unallocated, unknown, and 1.82 terabytes. Now, you may get this particular device with a different hard drive configuration. There are other versions, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, whatever, or you can always put in your own device. So this may vary, but the operation to do this is the same. Once you're here, select it not on this side, but over here in the center. Right-click, select New, and now here's where the confusion might really spook you off. Partition will be primary. This file system list is long. So which one do you select? Well, I'm here to help you with that. We're going to select ext4, and we're going to give it a fancy label of M.2 drive. I know, right? And then we're going to click OK. Now, nothing has actually happened. The next thing you have to do is go up here to where it says Apply. You'll click Apply, and it'll say, do you really want to apply the operations? Yes, we do. Apply those pending operations, and you can see it is now creating a new partition, and it is complete. Successful. So we're going to hit OK, and it rescanned and now says it's ext4 and gives you all of these stats on that particular device. So now that M.2 drive is ready for use. Now I'm going to apologize in advance because my Linux skills are a little rusty, but I did manage to get through this. Now I'm going to walk you through it. So some things will already be done, but I'll still walk you through how I did it. So if you come to this folder and you'll notice that there's no Steam folder here, you right click and you don't have the ability to create a new folder. What that means is you don't own permissions to the folder. So we're going to have to give you permissions. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit Shift F4, and that's going to bring up this tiny little window here, and that is your command line. So from here, we're going to want to set a password. The Steam Deck does not come with a password for elevated privileges automatically installed, so we're going to give it one. I've already done it, so it's going to look a little bit different for me, but you're going to type in PASSWRD. I don't know why they wouldn't spell out the whole word password, but I'm sorry, PASSWD, right? And it's going to say changing password for deck. Now I've already done it, so I'm just going to skip through it here and have it fail out. But it's going to ask you for a password, and then it's going to ask you for a password again. This is setting what's called a pseudo password, and that's an escalated privileges or elevated privileges password. So the next thing we're going to need to do, sorry about that, is take control over the permissions on this folder, and that's going to be some more complex commands. But again, I'll walk you through it. 1 second, I'll grab that command, and I'll be right back. All right, it took me a second to remember, but the command you're looking for is sudo, again, to elevate your privileges, chmod, and that's going to be change and modify, I believe, -r recursive. Now you can argue about this number for either 755 or 777, and that's read, write, and execute permissions, and the level of permission, if you will. I gave it wide open permissions. I'm the only one that's going to be using this thing, so fine. So chmod -R space 777, and then you got to give it the path. Now I wanted to give it complete control over the entire drive, so I'm using /run/media/deck, and that should give it complete control over anything that I mount to that space. So if it worked, which it should, I right click here, and now you can see I can create new. So we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to name it Steam Library. Super technical. We're going to hit OK. Now I'm going to right click on this and go to Properties, and I'm going to make a note of where this lives. So the location is run media deck /m2_drive, and then Steam Deck. So hopefully the next step will go just as easily, and I can open up Steam, go to Settings, go to Downloads, then Steam Library Folders. Now you notice I have my internal drive, my micro SD, and there's a small plus inside of a circle. I click that, and I'm going to choose a location and hit Add. It's going to give me this long library list here of folders. What I'm looking for is what I noted before, which is Run, Media, Deck, M.2 drive, Steam Library. Select, and just like that, I now have that addressable space. I have this 2 terabytes of usable space for my Steam Deck whenever it is plugged into this external deck. So I'm sorry, external dock. It's been a long day. Having to remember Linux will definitely tax your brain. So what I've shown you, I'm going to guess that 99% of you will never need it, but should you ever need to know how to make Linux work on the Steam Deck, you've now got that as a bonus as part of the review for this wonderful dock. So take it or leave it, maybe that's useful to you, but either way, I now have that 2 terabytes of addressable space whenever this is plugged into the dock. Now why would I need that? Well, that's the next question, right? Now if you'd like to have a laugh at my expense, and I encourage you to, all the stuff that we just did with that Linux build, the JSAUX team was nice enough to provide a script that you can download right at their website that you can simply execute, and it will do all of what I just showed you in a completely automated fashion. That said, if you learn something, I mean, is that such a bad thing? So the last question is price. There are 2 price points for this device. There's one with an M.2 interface and one without. The one without comes with all of the ports that I've shown you, including the pass-through charging, and that's going to set you back $49.99. The one with an M.2 interface doesn't come with a hard drive, but that's going to set you back $129.99. Obviously, that's going to give you greater flexibility with being able to add local storage, so it's up to you and your individual use case and how you use your Steam Deck to decide if that's important to you. So the last remaining question is, do you need this? Well, need is a strong word. I can think of use cases where I've gone to my in-laws and I've brought a portable device. Their computer is beyond antique and I update it and they don't use it, so they have really nice peripherals for a really antique computer. I don't want to touch that thing, but I certainly want to bring my Steam Deck. So with this, I can grab this dock, I can throw it in my bag, I can hook it up to all their peripherals and their really nice monitor, and I can play my machine without having to deal with theirs. For me, that's useful. The additional fact that you can load media in addition to games, I can load music, I can load movies or whatever, and again, I can experience that on a larger screen. That portability is nice for me. The standalone version that doesn't have the storage, I don't see as much utility because that means you have to use all of your storage that's on the Steam Deck and it's already a really tight fit if you load a couple of games. So it's really kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, how you use your Steam Deck and how you intend to take it to travel, but I can give this a recommend. For that price, that seems really reasonable, and I don't know about you, but after doing a couple of machine upgrades, I've got M.2 drives sitting around collecting dust, so this is a good home for them. Your use case may vary. Let us know in the comments how you might use a Steam Dock like this. I'm Ron Burke, Editor-in-Chief for GamingTrend.com. Thanks for joining me in an adventure all through Linux. This took a little more time than I expected to review something as simple as a dock, but it's been fun. So let us know in the comments what other things you'd like us to take a look at, and we'll see you again very soon.